The minute that we stop thinking that the world is too small and that the resources are too small, and we start working together for our mission, for the good of our society, we will all do so much better.
Welcome to What Works, where nonprofit leaders share real stories about what makes impact possible while building teams that thrive. Because success has patterns, and often the best kept secrets aren't found in the boardroom but on the field. I'm your host, Marla Moody, transformational leadership coach and author. And after serving 3 decades in the nonprofit sector, I'm passionate about helping leaders stay clear, resilient, and effective. Because when leaders are at their best, teams thrive. My guest today is Rezende. She is the president and CEO of Build. She brings us a wealth of experience, and I'm excited today. We're really going to talk about when one thrives, everybody thrives, just the idea of abundance and caring for everybody around us. So, Therese, please tell us what works. Welcome.
Hi, Marla. It's such a pleasure to be in here with you and have this conversation. Just as you said, I believe that talent is spread equally among all our society, but opportunity is not. So Bill is here to bridge that gap that exists today and connect students, young students that are being left behind because of their zip code or the place where they live or their racial background, and they're not getting an opportunity to access jobs for the future that will help them achieve economic and social mobility. And the reality is what you just said. If we all prosper, if everyone has access to opportunity, we will all prosper. And that's why BL exists, because we believe that when these young people come to the workplace and they're equipped with the right tools and competencies, they not only thrive, but they help those businesses thrive as well. When our companies around us are thriving, well, we all do, because there's more economic power for everyone to do the things that we all love to do. So that's what BL is about, closing that opportunity gap that exists today in our society.
That's wonderful. Thank you for that. Before we really get started, I do want to give you an opportunity to tell people who you are, where you're living, and give people a little bit of taste of the experience that you have.
My name is Rezende, and I live currently in Seattle. But prior to moving to Seattle 4 years ago, I lived in Kenya, Northern California, for 27 years. I'm the mother of 3 beautiful daughters, and me and my husband, we both migrated from Mexico many years ago. Because of my husband's job, I found myself one day in this new country with a new language, with a new beginning. Today, after almost 30 years of being here in the United States, well, I call this now my home. And I'm really excited about where we are today, because despite the turmoil that we're living in our society, I can see hope. Everyone has this roadmap or this journey of self-improvement and growth, and we will get through it. We will get through the tough times that we have and the challenges and barriers, because it's in the DNA of this country to overcome challenges and barriers. And I think that that's what is going to happen, hopefully, in the near future.
Yeah, there's something about hardship that builds resilience. I was telling you before we started, one of the reasons I like doing this podcast is I'm interacting with people that are good people, that not only are just well-intending people, but you're doing something to make a difference. What was your motivation even to start with Build and to do something where you're really giving of yourself?
I stumbled into entrepreneurship education by chance. I just happened to meet a wonderful woman that was leading a nonprofit. Her name is Julie Abrams. And when she talked about this program and the impact that it was having in the life of this women, that were transforming hobbies into actual businesses, that were creating enough wealth for their own families, and then hiring people within their communities that otherwise would not have been hired. And I saw how these businesses, despite the fact that historically or statistically, we know that businesses in the first year, 50% of them will fail. These women were thriving. And 5 years later, they were continuing their growth. And I thought, wait, how is that possible? And just became super curious about this organization. I started getting more engaged with them and eventually end up working with them. It really became a transformative experience. So that entrepreneurship didn't mean only the Googles and Facebooks of this world, but actually it was the small business in our communities that were creating also transformational environments and pockets in our society. So I saw the barber shop, the bakery, the jewelry store, the hair salon, that we're really creating thriving society. Our thriving was making our society thrive at a small scale. But when you accumulate many small scale little dots here and there, it really creates a full engine. I was just so passionate about it that it became my addiction. Like I woke up every morning thinking, how can we bring more women to help themselves and empower them and create the support system they needed to thrive in the way that they were doing it. They had it all. They had the talent, the ideas, the community. They just needed the support. And so after my experience with Women's Initiative, I joined another organization called This World that was bringing entrepreneurship education at the elementary and middle school level. And the reason I very excited to join that organization is I had seen the pitfalls of money management in adults for a decade with Women's Initiative. I knew that many of the traps that had kept women in poverty was because they didn't have the early tools when they were growing up on how to manage their money, their relationship to money. And they were trapping in honestly, predatory activities that were keeping them in debt and not letting them start building wealth for themselves. It would be great if every child in our world, really, but in America, will know how to manage the money early on, that they will have this entrepreneurial mindset that will help them see that if a job is not the open door for them, they will be able to create their own jobs. I spent another decade there, and what impressed me about my work there was that it didn't matter what country I was or what city I was in, the principles of the entrepreneurial mindset really were repeating themselves everywhere, which to me proved more and more that we're all the same. We're just human beings that want to see good happen around us. We want to use our talents and our innate gifts really to apply them and thrive and be passionate about what we are creating and not be just kept in 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 a box that society puts for our lives, right? Like we're taught or we taught that we would go to school, graduate, then start in a job and stay in this job for 80 years, well, 40 years, 50 years, and then be able to retire and live off of your retirement. But our life continually changes, and that's not the world that we live in right now. So, how can we change the way education is happening, the way in which society makes us go in a linear way and be more realistic about life that throws curves at you all the time? And how can you use this entrepreneurial mindset to really be a problem solver and be innovative and be resilient and be able to pick up the pieces and rebuild yourself when needed so that you can continue this journey towards bringing the best of you, your superhero powers. And that's what, to me, entrepreneurial education brings. Fast forward, and now I'm at Beal, and Beal is working with high school students, but we work with high school students that live in underinvested communities. Unfortunately, when you look at the population that are in this particular schools, pockets, you will see a lot of minority students attending them. What I have discovered through my journey in all these three segments, adults, young kids, and adults, is that there are two success pillars for students to thrive and or for people to thrive in the end. One is, of course, being able to bring out all your passion and your skills and the talents that you have. And the second one is getting the right network of support. It doesn't matter if you are an adult, if you're a child, or if you're a young person, you need that in your life. And so, one of the things that I have noticed in my journey at Beale is that many of the students that are attending the schools that we're serving do not have the social networks that they need to continue their journey. They're doing everything that they have been asked to do, right? They went through the school system, they are in high school, now they're about to graduate and they need to select their pathway for the future. But they rarely have a network of support that helps them assess what's best for them. And they're randomly making choices that sometimes doesn't work for them, whether it's going to college and then getting in debt for that college and then not being able to pay for it, or not finding a job that pays well enough to pay the debt, which keeps them then back into poverty cycle, or ending in a job that doesn't pay well, is minimum wage, and it's going to take 2, 3 jobs to be able to pay for their living. The reality is, if we look back in our own lives, there's always somebody that opened a door for you. If you have achieved any type of success in your life, there was a mentor, a supporter that end up opening a door for you. Many of those young people that we're working with do not have that. So to Bill, it became a priority to figure out how do we reach these talented young people with the opportunities and the social network that will help them access their full potential. And that's why throughout my career, if you see the thread, it's about opportunity, it's about unveiling and bringing up all the talent that somebody has so that they are empowered to achieve their full success. And that's what I love about entrepreneurship education. And that has been my journey into it.
You're helping a whole community get better, not just an individual. A few things that stood out to me is, especially in that first role, is the women took their hobbies and made it into a profession. You don't necessarily always have to go outside of your interests. What a dream that everybody could work within their talents and their interests, and it could help society. As they were being successful, they kept money within the community.
Hmm.
What I'm hearing you talk about is how you help these communities keep that dollar within their community.
That's
So
exactly me.
that's just brilliant. It's an interesting thing because you talked about the poverty cycle, and we're also talking about the poverty mindset, which of course probably go hand in hand. What is a mindset that if they have it, they're more likely to be able to get out of that poverty cycle? What's a
Yeah.
belief or a mindset that's important?
I think building confidence, what I have
Mm.
seen often happen in all 3 organizations that I have worked with is that the fear of success is real because it's sad to say it, but because they are not surrounded by it, but in reality, all the systems are actually pushing down and creating failure after failure.
Mhm.
The thought of succeeding feels so unrealistic that you don't even strive for it. You don't fight for it. You feel and you are okay with receiving the minimum. And so breaking through that mindset is really important. So part of what we do with our programs, particularly right now with Beal, is that every student in high school will start a business. And of course, things don't go well all the time. You make mistakes. But that's the point. Being able to face mistakes and failure and accept it as part of life and being able to recover from that is one of the big mind shifts that you need to live in order for then see success as a bigger, harder, longer term target for your life. And so that is one of the biggest shifts that happens. The second one is your network. What I saw with women's leadership, for example, is that many in their families will not be supportive. they would come to them and say, "What in the world are you doing this? We need the job. We need you to have a job so that we can have the steadiness of the income. This is a pie in the sky kind of situation, pursuing your hobby and thinking that that is going to be a business and that you're going to thrive through it. Like you're crazy." And so all these voices within their own network were minimizing their potential for success. But by extracting them and putting them with other women that were living through the same, and the support system that created that, along with the mentors that we have, the program that we had, that were giving them the tools to then know that they were making the right decision. It wasn't just being
Mm.
told that that was the right decision, but they were learning and adopting and creating their own navigation system through this journey of entrepreneurship, that actually build their confidence to be able to silence those voices and actually rely more in the team and the community that was supporting them to grow. And the same happens today with the young people that we're serving at Veal. I see them where their families are like, "Well, do you really want to go to college? I don't know if that's where you need to go. It's too expensive. And I don't know, maybe you're not even that good at school." It's just this mindset that is the fear of success or the fear of failure that combines at the same time, that
Yeah.
prevents them from achieving their full potential. So making that shift in their mindsets and building their confidence and knowing that they have a reliable network, social network, that will help them navigate the challenges ahead, creates that space for them to be braver and then make the steps. And as they practice, it becomes theirs. It's no longer
Yeah.
dependent on the people around them. It's within them that the power happens.
What's interesting is when I think of the word entrepreneur, I think of a solo person out there by themselves. And everything I've heard you say is talking about that social network, the support, maybe they're the ones that are out taking that risk, but they're not doing it in isolation. How important is having people behind you, having community?
I mean, it's everything. Not only, I mean, we're talking about entrepreneurship and the reality of it. Like, you do need that in order to create the success or achieve the success that you're trying to go. Just think about this. Even if you have a lemonade stand, think about when you were a little kid. You cannot do it on your own. You had your parents that help you maybe with buying the lemons and bringing the sugar and telling you what to do. And then you're brainstorming with your friends on what the price might be, and then you go out to the world, and then your neighbors buy the first lemonade that you put out. And that builds your confidence. And then you start putting it, you start getting your posters. And then you maybe walk to the park instead of just in front of your house, because you're building that confidence. But if you track even that small, silly example, you can see people around you helping you. It was never
Mm.
you alone. The same happens whether you're building a lemonade stand or you are doing, again, your hair salon. The first clients that you're going to have are your aunt and your neighbor and your cousin. And then they pass on the word. And then suddenly somebody's walking through the street and walks in because there's people inside. So it gives them confidence that that might be a good salon. So entrepreneurship is always about the people that surround you, and how you build it is because a team effort that is happening. And by the way our program work for young people in the classroom is never a solo business. It's a team effort. We build teams within the classroom, and each team puts together their business idea. So they're always working within that group. And you were talking about how impressive or how inspiring could be that you're pursuing your hobby and that becomes your means to start a business. What we do through our program is precisely giving them an opportunity that within project-based learning environment to discover what are the strengths that you have in your life. What are the strengths that you already are innate in you, that you enjoy, you love? It might be math, so you're great at accounting, you're a great CFO. If you're great at speaking and engaging people, then you may be the salesperson of the team, and you are the marketing person because you're super good at drawing and creating a catchy name tag. So while you're doing these exercises, you're discovering, oh my goodness, I'm actually really good at. And that gives you an idea of what pathway you might be wanting to follow as a grown person, right? As an adult.
And as you're doing it younger too, those belief systems, like you said, is failure is such a debilitating
Mm.
thing, but shifting that mindset from failure to that was an experiment, the trial and error and the, every mishap is a learning experience rather than the bad or the good it kind of thing. So I see that muscle being built. And like you said, you first do the lemon stand in front of your house and then you take it to the park and it's you're not only learning how to interact with people and then the idea of community. I'm just thinking in my own life as I'm, pursuing different things. I'm like, yeah, what does it look like to allow people even within your community to be part of what you're doing?
That's exactly it.
If you had someone in your life that you wanted to support, where would we even start?
The first thing that sparks in me the interest of wanting to go deeper with somebody is if I see passion on what they are pursuing. If they have that passion, they're not gonna be deterred by the challenges that would be ahead. Because the reality, nothing comes to us easily. I mean, there will be a few opportunities that come to us and you're like, wow, that really was smooth and happened really quickly. But the reality is, most of the things that we really care about will not come to us that easily. So, what I would love to see is one passion, because then I know that that passion will drive them to continue no matter what. Two, I want them to have persistency in their own lives. Like they show discipline in some manner. I'm not talking about completely all rounded, but that they shown that in whatever aspect of their lives they have had some sort of discipline that have drawn results, because then I know that the muscle of confidence on their own efforts and their own empowerment will be there. And the reason why that matters is I don't want to create a dependency at the end. I want to help people, but I don't want them to see me as the problem solver or as their rescuer. I want them to know that they have everything that they need to produce that in themselves, because I may not exist in a few years, right? Might not be in their lives. So how are they going to continue? So being able to create a healthy mentorship or relationship in which I'm there to preach, but I'm not there to do the job for them and the work for them will be really important. What I love seeing people is passion, discipline, and willingness to do whatever it needs to be done. And then the rest will come. We'll find out the threads and we'll find how to connect the dots. And I'll think about somebody else that is complementing whatever they're trying to do and introduce them so that their network continues to grow and grow and grow. And it's not only one person, but they end up with a village behind them to create that dream and make it true.
It's interesting because I'm feeling the word confidence, which is a muscle, but also the concept of humility, where someone who's willing to get feedback and willing to do the work, and then the idea that you're really launching them, but I think it's easy sometimes to feel like I have to hold them up. I have to allow them to fall and have that as a way to learn. So those are really healthy boundaries in the midst of launching someone.
I think that is really easy sometimes when you are helping somebody. And I'm saying helping because at the end of the day, we all need help. We are all supporting each other. So, but let's say that we are in that mentorship relationship, it's really easy to take over and trying to make the decisions for them and try to say, you should do X, Y, and Z. But we need to understand that in order for somebody to achieve their full potential, you need to give them the room to be themselves and to make the decisions and to fail, to your point, Marla, as you were capturing my thoughts of how do you recover from that on your own and how you continue to build your confidence and your growth mindset. It is critical. I believe that as mentors, when you take over a relationship and you end up guiding it completely, you are doing a disservice to that person and you're really not helping them in the way you think you are. It may be more egocentric than helpful at that point because it's all about you and what you would do rather than giving them the opportunity to experience what they need to be doing and how the world needs to be developed rather than your own vision of how it needs to be done.
Yeah. So, with the question of what happens when we teach people to take ownership of their own lives, how would you capsulize that?
What happens in my mind is you are respecting them. You are actually saying publicly to them and the world that you trust what they do. And that confidence is what builds people into knowing that they're worth, that they're seen, that their talents, their strengths, and their weaknesses are fully accepted. And there's nothing more beautiful for any human being than to be received the way you are, period, with your good and your bad. And that you would be given a space and room to continue to grow because we are in development. We're never fully ready. So the more that we give space for people to be themselves and to grow, the more that we're showing respect and wholeness as a society, as and humans.
Yeah, it's kind of feel like it's coming back around because you're giving the dignity. And if we give dignity to someone else, we're believing in them, but it doesn't take away from what we're doing. Like if we really are working out of our strengths and developing our skills, I can celebrate what you're doing and not have to, in a sense, even compete. Like even sometimes businesses that seem as if they are competition, typically there's enough out there for everybody, right?
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, I see it even with nonprofits, right? If you really do an analysis of competitors for Bill right now, you will find a few. That's the reality, at least 10. The reality is there are millions of young people in this country that would benefit from programs like ours. And there's no way one organization will be able to reach them all. There's just no way. There's a slight differences in all our programs that propel us to want to create these organizations, right? What I have found, and actually over the past 2 years, I've been part of a coalition of entrepreneurial education organizations, is that when we come together, we actually are stronger. That do not need to be competing against each other and just be seeing each other as I wish they would not exist or that I would be bigger or that this funder will be with me. In fact, with a few of them, I have been able to go with to funders and say, we're coming together because we want to achieve this particular goal and we would like for you to support us as a whole, as a group. It has worked really well. And so I believe that the minute that we stop thinking that the world is too small and that the resources are too small and we start working together for our mission, for the good of our society, we will all do so much better.
Yeah, I kind of get this mindset that we often live in this fear-based way of living, right? We almost naturally hide into ourselves, but the beauty of no, we can actually work together, or like you said, there's plenty of people that need it. And I think sometimes with nonprofits, we always fear like, well, we have the same donor base, so there's competition. There's just too much good out there to be done. What have you found in your own life, in your family's life, and in what you do to go from a kind of a fear-based to be able to have that sort of open heart way of living?
I think that my own journey to migrating from my native country to the US and having to start again and seeing people that were willing to open up the doors and the opportunities and a pathway for me that allowed me to grow to the point in which I am today made me think I wasn't special. everyone is special, right? So how can I pay back what I have received? How can I do that for others? It was beneficial for me, but it didn't take away from anyone else. It actually just opened up more room for all of us to thrive and grow and be better. So to me, it was my experience. So if you ask me, it's not something that I intellectually think is good. Is I lived through it. I saw it happening, and I feel it's my duty to give it back to others.
This is almost a rhetorical question, but how do we convince someone to risk trying the open-handed? And, maybe it is starting small. There are people who are only looking out for themselves, and that always will make our world smaller. The more it's like, no, I'm going to help my neighbor. I'm going to help lift someone up, and I'm going to take risk and see those risks and those failures as trying. And I mean this really sincerely. If all of us today just took one choice of saying, I'm going to live a little more heartfelt, and I'm going to take someone that I might want to either compete with or don't trust and say, what am I going to do to build that person up today? Like if we started doing that where we weren't this poverty mindset, this scarcity mindset, what would you see your community start looking like?
Oh, it would be transformational, right? And don't they say that it just takes two-thirds of a group to create full change? So there will be always opposition. There will be somebody that will not embrace what we're just saying right now. But if we are able to create majority, right, in this process, then a better world is ahead. And I think that that's why programs like ours, that is working with young people that want to see change, that want to see that transformation, and that we are teaching them about this growth mindset, this be open, be open to be with people that you don't know, people that you never thought you were going to be working with or that may seem your competitors, and just try to bring good into that relationship, be partners in that relationship, can be transformational. I mean, when we do our surveys at the end of our program, and our young people say, well, I never thought that I was going to be working with this person. Like, I thought I had nothing in common with them, but now they're my best friends, and we actually learn so much together. And that is part of what we're talking about. It starts in a small setting, in a small risk environment, but it continues in your life, and you bring it to other environments, and that's what creates the ripple effect of transformation that we're talking about here.
I almost want to challenge all of us today to say, who's that person I'm scared to go talk to or don't like or think is lazy? Like one of those things, like if we would take that step just to be curious and ask questions, that concept of lazy, I just said, I've heard a lot of people, like,
Mm.
oh, they're homeless, they're just lazy, or they don't have a job. And what you actually start seeing is they haven't had that person or that support group to get them from where they're at to another place. Learning and being curious really can transform your view and give someone else like to feel seen and heard.
Yes.
It's like, what would you challenge someone with in light of trying to be open to not have that scarce mindset or that I don't trust you mindset?
Yeah, be the change that you want to be. So today, pick one person, to your point, that you've been seen as maybe your competitor or somebody that you don't like to work with, that you're judgmental against whatever circumstance, and try to learn what is happening in their lives. What created that environment that you so much see as opposite to your views, or what you really, yeah, opposite to your way of life? And understanding, try to come up with, be entrepreneurial and think about ways in which those barriers could be changed or overcome. And I bet you anything that as you're thinking as an entrepreneur and trying to find solutions, you will realize you have a lot more in common with that person that you thought before. And maybe being able to be willing to be that network of support so that those barriers and challenges are overcome. And you're part of that transformation will help us build that bridge that today is broken.
Yeah, I think that's really great. What I'm hearing is the framework where we know what our values are, we see what our passions are, we're aware of how we're showing up, and we are able to express some needs so that we're not doing it alone as well, but we're getting that help from those around us. If you wanted to end on one piece, what would you want to end our time with?
I would say that before I joined entrepreneurship education, I always thought entrepreneurship was about just building a business. And then I saw myself not being one. I never thought of myself as, oh, I'm an entrepreneur because I wasn't building a business. I wasn't opening a store. The reality is entrepreneurship is more about a mindset than the actual starting of a business. Of course, it is attached to a business, but being an entrepreneurial mindset person could help you in any pathway that you follow. Any, whether it's leading a nonprofit, leading a podcast, or actually starting a business, you do need skills that help you be a better person that will help you improve yourself and therefore will help others around you. So, being a problem solver, being innovative in your thinking, being able to be resilient, being able to be a team player, being able to know how to negotiate, how to come to an agreement. All of these are characteristics of an entrepreneur. If we were all to learn these skills, I bet we would be in so much better place today. So my encouragement to everyone is don't think about entrepreneurship just of starting a business, but think about how to be entrepreneurial minded as you continue your journey in whatever pathway you are in.
Having an entrepreneurial mindset will allow us to really overcome all the barriers that we face, is what I'm hearing you say. That's brilliant. Yeah, that has expanded my view on things, even just chatting with you today. So thank you. Thank you for your heart for people, for your experience and willing to share it, and just what a great human being you are.
Oh, thank you, Marla. It was awesome chatting with you. It went really fast.
The message that you have is a really important one for so many people. And I think with this digital age where people are in their phone and it's just a very different world. So for you to be able to build in courage, and there is that courage to go and do, just believing in people and not laughing when people fail, but really help them get back up, that you're not doing it for them, but you're helping lift a hand back up. So just beautiful. We'll just have to have another coffee
We will.
conversation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us with What Works. Until next time, lead with clarity, calmness, and care for yourself. Thank you for joining. And before I go, I just want to mention one thing. I alluded to something in the podcast about a closed hand and an open hand. A closed fist is a heart that's small, it's fear-based, and an open hand is ready to receive. The work I do with individuals and with groups and with teams is to release fear and be able to become safe in ourselves so that we can live with this open-handed, abundant mindset. If you're interested in hearing more, contact me, DM me, and let me know your story. I'd love to hear. Be at peace and care for someone else today.